got squeaking records today, Graham.
Squeaking,
cracking records.
All right. Well, you got vinyl?
Got some old lounge music to start us off with today. I feel like being in Bali on the beach with a good cocktail, sunset.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Unfortunately, I'm in Jakarta in my house in the air conditioning, but nevertheless, it's good to play some nice music. Lazy Money Machine Podcast, Graham Brown and Eric ten Have. The podcast where we talk about lifestyle design and passive income, something that we do to support our work on lazymoneymachine.com, our website, where you can find the products that we're offering there, and the tribe that we're building of people that want to do what we did, which is, build a lifestyle around passive income and try to be master of your time. And nowadays we do it from 2 continents, because where are you at the moment, Graham?
I'm in Europe. I'm in London at the moment, temporarily, but I can still run the business from here. So that's what it's all about: location independence.
Right, exactly. And as I mentioned, I'm in Jakarta. And in this episode today, I found an interview with a 17-year-old Englishman called Akshay Ruparelia. He's Indian descent, and he built a business while he was very young. Let's listen to the interview first.
I think the first time it popped into my head, unrealistically, it was when I was about 10 years old. So we moved house as a family from Hemel Hempstead into London. Mm-hmm. And a few years later, I realised estate agents charged a lot of money for that move.
Yes.
That's when we first sold our first property as a family. Once I worked out that it was around 2% and cost us £4,000 to move, I thought, this is not right.
Yeah.
And living in an age with disruption, technology, Uber, Amazon, I thought doorsteps.co.uk should be at the top of that.
Yeah. And it was reading Michael O'Reilly's, wasn't it, the founder of Ryanair, his book, and he said if you can charge very little for a service, people will just be drawn to it.
I think, the most important thing for us is charge a very little fee, like £99, but prove that we can actually do it.
And deliver a service.
Exactly, and deliver the best service.
Your life could have gone in many ways, actually, because you finished, you had 3 A stars, 3 A's at A-level, you were offered a place at Oxford, and at first you kind of sort of deferred because you thought, well, I'll just set up the company and see how that goes. And that's now not something you're going to take up because you're just solely going to focus on the... There's not many people that turn down that opportunity.
Yeah, no, so I think at the time it was just taking a view. But now that we've taken ourselves to 18th largest estate agent in the UK within less than a year, the goal is now to just be Britain's #1, and it'd be awesome to say that.
Yeah. So, would you pay yourself a fortune? Company's worth 12 million quid?
£1,000 a month. So it's a nice nominal salary, yeah.
Flash car?
No car.
No car.
No car.
And you're still living at home with your parents?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, there's another part to the story that came after this, which I edited off, which is his parents are, at least his mom is deaf, so he's also spending a lot of his time caring for his parents, which is amazing, I think. So here we got a young guy, 17 years old, started a business in property in this case, because he's an estate agent online called doorsteps.co.uk, where he charges 99 quid for a transaction instead of the usual 2% or something that estate agents charge on a transaction. So any excuse that, you can't do it because you don't have the experience, that's out of the window, I guess, with this one, isn't it?
Yeah, it goes back to something we talked about in a previous podcast, is property. I think it was the Donald Trump one, wasn't it? Property really doesn't give a shit who you are.
That's right.
And that's a good thing or a bad thing. So Donald Trump can make a lot of money out of property. You don't have to be a nice guy, but you can be a nice guy and make money out of property too. And this chap, Akshay Ruparelia, is proving that, right? He can be just 17 years old. He's a smart kid looking after his parents, and he's doing it for a number of different reasons. I find that fascinating that he's doing it for a number of different reasons. He's not doing it for... What did he say? He didn't drive a car. Was that correct? And he only pays himself $1,500 a month, £1,000 a month.
That's right. Yeah. So basically, the company is valuable, but he's taking it easy on paying himself, which I think is a very good thing to do.
Smart, huh?
Yeah, if you're in startup mode, even though your company's worth 12 million quid, I mean, be how do you call it? Frugal? Is that the word in English?
Yeah, frugal.
So be careful, and your spending is always a good idea, I think, and that's what he's doing. But I think what I love about this is it's disruptive, right? It's like a Virgin idea, or it's like an Uber idea, yeah, like you said, right?
Yeah.
It's disrupting an existing industry where people are getting lazy and fat and charging 2% on a transaction, which doesn't make any sense in the first place. You know, why would an estate agent get more for an expensive house than for a cheap house? And he's just going in and saying, look, I'm just going to go and do it all online for 99 quid. And, you know, the company's worth 12 million pounds. And I really like that. You know, young guys doing disruptive stuff, fantastic. It's really in your wheelhouse because you're working with a lot of startups over in Asia, I think, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think, you know, I mean, obviously I'm not 17 years old. I'm on the wrong side of 40, so I'm not classed as a young guy anymore.
But we feel like 17, don't we?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think if you surround yourself with people, we keep coming back to this, but if you have these kind of people in your network, or at least, you know, they're part of the events or the meetups that you go to, or you have access to these people, then you hear this story, don't you, that people say, why not? Why can't you charge £100 for this, right? £99 for this service. Why does it have to be 4,000? And the thing is, we old guys are kind of stuck in our ways in many ways, and we assume that that's how it should be.
Yes.
So we don't challenge it. It takes a young guy. It's like the story of the Emperor's New Clothes, isn't it? Hans Christian Andersen. It's like, you know, he calls out, you know, the emperor for being naked when everybody just assumed, right? So I think it's kind of like this, isn't it? You know, that we kind of get stuck in our ways. And I wonder, you know, how we go about getting these kind of ideas into our network. I mean, I'm lucky in the fact that I surround myself with startups and constantly access to these disruptive ideas. But what happens if you're not in that startup scene? How can you get these kind of people filtering into your world?
So why do you think it's important to have these disruptors in your network? I find that quite interesting because what we're sort of teaching in Lazy Money Machine is, you know, go into property, build passive income, which is, you know, proven methods, proven systems. Why then, in your opinion, is it still important to have these disruptors, well, in your circles at least?
Yeah, I mean, property is not ripe for disrupting in the investment side, or maybe it is, but, you know, certainly aspects of it, like we're seeing here, like the sale of property and the estate agent side, the real estate agent side of things. However, I think, you know, we're not just property investors. I think that's important to let people know. We're involved in other things as well. I mean, you've been involved in angel investing as well.
Yes.
I've invested in a number of asset classes, Bitcoin being one recently. If I didn't have the disruptors in my network, I never would have known about Bitcoin when it was, you know, $170.
Right.
So I think we have to have them because we're, you know, it's not just property. And I think everybody in our tribe as well is involved in something else as well, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And maybe it's a case of we might not need to be the disruptors ourselves, but I think to be in the vicinity of people that are very out there doing cutting edge things maybe sharpens our thinking about what we're doing. Maybe that's what it is, right?
Yeah. I mean, think about it in our context of going to Asia and living there. I'm not suggesting that everybody does that, but for me, it was somebody in my network, a friend, went to Japan and went and taught English in the early 90s. And I thought, wow, that's possible. You can actually go and live somewhere else and start a life there, right? Before that, I didn't know it was possible. It was sort of beyond what the expectations and role models were in my network. So it doesn't just have to be investing, but it means, you know, in terms of your lifestyle as well. I mean, I'm not sure what your influence. I think we talked about it before, didn't we, on the show? Who influenced you to go out to Indonesia, at least?
Yeah.
But having a disruptor in your network, I'm sure, was part of that, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it came my way in my job in the Netherlands that there was an opportunity to go and work here. That was the big start of it. And then for me, it came out of frustration of my younger life in university where, you know, some of my friends went overseas and studied overseas and I hadn't done that. So then when I started working and this opportunity came along, I thought, okay, this must be my time to go and do it. So then I left and I never returned. That's really what happened. So I did have study friends in university that did what I was aspiring to. And then when I was done and I had this opportunity, then I grabbed it. So there is an aspect of, people in your surroundings influencing you. And what I'm always intrigued by is that these guys, this Akshay guy here in the UK. I mean, I'm so inspired that these people that have absolutely no business experience whatsoever, just see a problem, start a company, and are successful at it. Now he's 19. So he's been at it for 2 years. He just upped his salary. I found another article online. He upped his salary. He used to be paid 500 quid a month, and now he upped it to £1,000 a month. And I've passed my driving test, but I still don't own a car. The insurance is so expensive. So
right. But he's earning a lot less than I imagine people of his age are earning. Not a lot less, but less than the average 17-year-old with a job. Yeah. So he's made a conscious decision to sacrifice.
Yeah. And usually I would, if people ask me this question, I would usually tell them, go work for a big company first, and get some experience, see how big companies operate, how they structure their processes, etc. But every time that I find somebody that is just doing this out of the blue, I'm so inspired, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, more of it.
Yeah, let's find more Akshays in all of our lives, people that can inspire us, people that are at the cutting edge of either technology or business. It keeps us sharp and it keeps us inspired, I think. That was sort of the theme of today's episode. Hope to see you in the next one.